guys mentioned the second heart attack. I mean, I don't remember it. My mom tells me about it. Because by the time I got to the hospital, I was
You
already
passed out.
dead. They declared me dead. I was in and they had turned me on the gurney. I was in the morgue. My mom and dad told me about 5 hours went by until they started hearing screams, and it was the medical, the person inside the morgue that started screaming, asking for help, and that's when they started massaging me, trying to bring circulation back in me again. I'm the kid, and all the only explanation I can give to that is God.
I
There's
don't think anybody of our listeners listening to this story can be left with no emotion after listening to this. I mean, this is a story that would probably stir up the driest of the dry of a person's emotions, in my opinion. If you ever had a kid and your kid is going through this at the age of 10, or any type of medical illness for any young person, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Um,
um
and
yeah.
it should resonate with a lot of people. I mean, it must resonate with a lot of people. I know you have 175,000 followers, so you've got that resonating. So,
Yeah, no, and it doesn't. I mean, I can really spend a lot of time just in the leadership lessons I learned from my parents, because that night, it was that evening that my parents decided to leave everything behind. It was that night when I came back, when I was again, they were able to take me home. That they decided to leave what they knew into this country, right, into the USA, a country they didn't know, with a language they didn't know, with people they never worked with before, but in search of a cure that didn't yet exist. And it was actually my father. The only reason why he said Georgia was because he saw it in a Reader's Digest magazine. He had read there that Emory University was doing research in the heart. And that I'm just thinking, like, the courage, the faith, everything that it took for him to uproot our family, my little sister at the time my mom was pregnant, and to come to a country and start all over again. And when we got here, well, I mean, he had the visa. Things didn't quite work out the way, like a lot of things, they don't work out the way that you expect them. Um, but when we got to Emory University, because that's the only thing they knew, it's like, we have to get to Emory Hospital. That's what Reader's Digest says. I mean, not a doctor's name, not anything like that. There was like nothing. And we get there, and it's an adult hospital. They don't treat kids. I was 10 years old. So they're like, what are we doing here? But you know what? They directed them across the street. And what's across the street? Eggleston Children's Hospital. So across the street from Emory University is this hospital called Eggleston. And would you know, that's where I spent a lot of my time. That's where I spent a lot of Christmases, birthdays, Thanksgiving. And at the end of the day, all my surgeries, even the innovative surgery, was actually done at Emory University. It was a combination of Emory, Eggleston, and Scottish Rite. And at the time, it was even unheard of because we had two competing hospitals, right? Like there was a Scottish Rite and Eggleston, but they came together for my heart, and that's what gave birth. So that's why I believe so much in collaboration, because it was these professionals that put all everything behind to, like, hey, well, let's come together in
mhm.
this and see what we can do. Um, yeah, it was my from my parents. I mean, they did everything. I mean, coming as an immigrant, my dad having my mom was a chemical engineer, not a chemical engineer in the U.S. Cambridge, have to start the immigration story. My father, who came, with the visa, with all these hopes that he was going to get to do what he was doing back in Venezuela, didn't happen that way. He ended up pushing grocery carts, cleaning houses, painting walls. And me, there wasn't a cure in place. I mean, I still am going through all this stuff, and let me tell you, um, it was very hard, especially after my open heart surgery, because that one failed. It didn't work, and it wasn't like, oh, we expected months later I had like normalcy. No, they test you right away with adrenaline to make the heart go into the erratic rhythms, and it didn't work. So as a kid, learning when things that you think are gonna work don't work, and there's no immediate next step. There's no like, okay, it's okay, we're going to regroup and go back to this. There was no going back. There was no going back from my parents. There was no going back from the open heart surgery. There was no going back. But realizing that all of those are really a step in the right way, are a step into progress, are a step into really the future that God had for us and to give us life and to do what we're doing today.